Und es war absoluter Notstand. Fun Fact. Ich habe letzte Woche erst ein Video gesehen, das wissenschaftlich belebt, warum Knoblauch nicht nur nicht schützt, sondern sogar noch begünstigt, gebissen zu werden. Also, gebissen von einem Vampir jetzt, oder? Hä? Oder gebissen von was? Echt jetzt? Es gibt eine wissenschaftliche These dazu, dass man, wenn man Knoblauch um sich rumhängen hat, dass da die Wissenschaft sagt, okay, du wirst eher gebissen. Krass.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reid, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Nichts bringen. Es gibt keinen Grund, warum der Geruch von Knoblauch auf Vampire abschreckend wirken sollte. Sie waren in William Bishops Versteck.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Gut, man könnte aber, also ich könnte jetzt aber auch so ein bisschen anders fragen, warum sollten sie, sollte Knoblauch anziehend auf Vampire wirken?
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here, this Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
Okay, Bali, ja.
His friends, Dr. Reid. William Bishop was a conflicted soul searching for
American Garlic? Aber ich weiß, was du meinst.
What is the general situation in the East End, Docs?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers trade union. The Red Boot boys
Knöbi!
since they lost their leader.
Also egal wie gut oder schlecht man kochen kann, mit überbackenem Käse, Zwiebeln und Knoblauch macht man alles besser.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Okay, das ist schon mal gut. Sonst haben wir nix.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping
Von der
hand,
besonders
good old
empfindliche
Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Okay, das macht sogar richtig viel Sinn. Definitiv, auf alle Fälle, wenn ich das so lese.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Notting Hill.
Who should I avoid in this part of town then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Das ist ja richtig schwer, den ganzen Bürgern hier von den Infos zu bekommen. Ich rede nicht schlecht über Kollegen, ich rede nicht schlecht über Leute, die ich nicht kenne, die ich kenne. Das sind ja alles richtig fromme.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Sind Sie ein Priester?
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Ja, okay.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Okay, jetzt fragen wir endlich mal, wie es ihm geht.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest.
Sorry, ich muss immer noch an das Fahrrad denken.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke. Receiving visits when
Stopp. Bobby, gleich.
We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
So, jetzt bin ich hier mit dem Dialog durch. Bobby, vielen lieben Dank für deinen Raid und herzlich willkommen an alle Raider. Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen. Ich hoffe, es geht euch gut und ihr hattet sehr viel Spaß bei DBD und ja, erfolgreiche Runden vor allem. An alle Raider, die mitgekommen sind, übliche Vorstellung meinerseits wieder. Mein Name ist Daniel oder Weidstar85. Hier auf dem Kanal Story und Horror Games. Gibt's zum Sehen kein gutes Gameplay, aber mit Herz und Leidenschaft einfach Gamer. Ansonsten, ja, ich habe eine Vorliebe für Tätowierungen, für ein paar ungewöhnliche auch, wie man unschwer erkennen kann. Komme aus dem schwäbischen Raum und aktuell zocken wir das Storygame Vampyr heute. Und Landratte und Skull Knives. Vielen lieben Dank für eure Follows. Dankeschön. Also Leute, heute macht ihr mich echt krass fertig mit Raids und mit Follows. Vielen lieben Dank. Dankeschön. Servus. So, ich denke mal...
We'll talk again later.
Wir sind hier jetzt vorerst mal durch. Können wir sonst noch mit Patienten... Ah, doch, hier. Ne, das ist die Vampirin, gell?
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
Genau.
How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Sonst gibt's nix. Nein. Nichts Neues zumindest.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
So, haben wir mit ihr schon quatscht? Wer ist das? Glaub nicht.
Good evening, Nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
Alter, ich find's schon krass, hey. Wir treffen hier die komplette Stadt eigentlich schon hier im Krankenhaus, habe ich das Gefühl.
How would you describe this situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Ah, tatsächlich, die spanische Grippe.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't.
Support ist kein Mord, das tut niemandem weh und sympathisch schon allein wegen deinem Tattoo. Ja, vielen lieben Dank, Skal.
What if in the end, nobody was spared?
Ich glaube, wenn ich damals richtig im Geschichtsunterricht aufgepasst habe, mit der spanischen Grippe, die kam heftig, hat richtig krass viele Leute in Europa niedergemäht und war dann aber auch, so schnell wie sie da war, so schnell war sie auch, glaube ich, wieder weg. Also die ging nicht arg lang.
You must get a hold of yourself, Nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Fragen wir ja erstmal nach dem Personal.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual.
Ah, was gibt das Internet? Richtig. Warum hatte Milton so schlechte Laune? Oh, der Milton war der Waffenschieber hier aus dem Krankenhaus.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Oh, neuer Hinweis, Milton.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned. Milton is not the chatty type.
Oh, aber mit uns hat er sich vorher eigentlich ganz gut unterhalten und hat uns gleich gesagt gehabt, dass er hier der lokale Waffenschieber ist.
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
Gut, prinzipiell. Okay, 2 Jahre. 3 Wellen. 101k. Ja, 20 und 50 Mille Menschen. Also ich wusste, die ging nicht lang und dass es echt heftig gewesen sein muss. Wir geben ihr mal recht, bisschen Honig und so.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
So, sonst haben wir, glaube ich, nichts mehr bei ihr. Aber wir haben da was Neues über den Milton gelernt. Dann können wir doch eigentlich einen Milton... Also, das, was ich noch so im Hinterkopf habe, dass die halt von heute auf morgen dann wieder weg war. Irgendwie so die Richtung.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Persönliche Frage. Nein, kein Hinweis. Leben in London. Ha, der zweifelhafte Ruf.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reid.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Okay, das ist heftig, was er gesehen hat und erlebt hat. Sonst haben wir nichts mehr. Okay, handeln möchte ich mit ihm noch nicht. Milton, bleib da, ich muss dich scannen. Wie funktioniert denn das nochmal so? Personenkreis, die Pippa. Okay, die kennen sich, sind irgendwie miteinander verbunden, aber ich habe keine weiteren Anhaltspunkte mehr. Die beiden sind miteinander verbunden. Er strapaziert sich und will nicht chillen. Sie ist überqualifiziert. So, wen haben wir denn hier? Irgendwie habe ich das Gefühl, vor lauter Quatschen komme ich irgendwie kein Stück vorwärts in dem Game, aber mir gefällt das total. Ich mag das, wenn man sich in so Kleinigkeiten, in so Spielen verlieren kann.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
So, da glitzert ein Schrank, den können wir plündern. Hör auf. Aha. Erstmal den Kranken hier alles klauen. Guck hier, der nächste Dialog.
I'm Dr. Reid. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reid.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reid? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on responsibility.
Ich habe mich schon gefreut, wir dürfen operieren. Ich war früher richtig gut in Dr. Pipper.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Da brauchen wir Hinweise, aber wir wissen, es gibt noch 2 weitere Ärzte.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Die... Oh, guck mal hier, schon wieder was. Ha. Ein Brief. Meine lieben Kinder, es tut mir leid, dass ich euch bisher nicht geschrieben habe, aber es schmerzt höllisch, allein diese paar verflixten Wörter zu Papier zu bringen. Macht euch keine Sorgen. Daddy kommt aus dem Krankenhaus, sobald die Ärzte seinen Arm heil gemacht haben. Oh, das ist der Herr Fiddick. Wenn ihr bis dahin etwas braucht, geht zu Mr. Chadwick auf die Baustelle und sagt ihm, dass ihr Harvey Fiddicks Kinder seid. Erinnert ihr euch an Robert Chadwick? Der große Mann mit dem Schnurrbart, der mir letzten Frühling half, die Haustüre zu reparieren. Geht zu ihm und bittet ihn um ein paar Schillinge, er wird euch sicherlich helfen. Leider kann ich gerade nicht arbeiten, aber wir lassen uns etwas einfallen. Wenn ich zurück bin, keine Angst. Wenn Daddys Arm wieder bei Kräften ist, wird alles gut. Wenn die Ärzte endlich meinen Arm geheilt haben, werde ich den Brief weiterschreiben. Oh, neuer Hinweis.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. Any news about my operation?
Können wir...
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Krass. So, meine Konzentration ist am Ende. Ich muss ins Bett. Morgen wird Evil Within abgeschlossen und vielleicht schon das nächste Projekt angefangen. Allgrabber und dann danke dir fürs Vorbeischauen. Dir eine gute Nacht. Schlaf gut. Einen tollen Dienstag und viel Erfolg beim Abschließen von The Evil Within. Also die beiden Spiele, die werden auf alle Fälle auch noch ein Projekt bei mir.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
Scheiße. Ist das jetzt eine mitfühlende Antwort? So viele kamen durch die Bomben um?
I'm sorry for your loss.
Ja, Gott sei Dank.
So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor poor little bleeders.
Wie geht's Ihren Kindern?
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Ja. Immer die Kriege. Furchtbar. Egal wo geschossen wird, alles scheiße.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
So, das ist bestimmt einer der Doktoren, die wir noch nicht kennen.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reid. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reid.
Okay, hier brauchen wir auch noch einen Hinweis.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reid. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
Praktische Arbeit ist auslaugend. Schmeicheleien bringen nix. Klar, helfen wir gern.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
Naja, oder man sitzt es einfach aus.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Ich find's komisch, dass der nicht mit der Sprache rausrücken möchte. Der verbirgt irgendwas.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Ah, brauchen Sie meine Hilfe?
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reid. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by.
Eine Quest gefunden.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
So, dann sind wir jetzt bei dem hier auch durch, oder? Ja. Ah, nein.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reid. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Erzählen Sie mir Mr. Fiddicks Geschichte. Sie müssen objektiv bleiben.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father. Ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Okay, krass. Schon wieder was gelernt. Grenzt ja schon an Sherlock Holmes da. Ja, hat schon irgendwas von Sherlock Holmes. Aber wie gesagt, ich mag's total. Ich find's echt cool.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Aykroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones and flesh.
Die Einstellung von dem Doc gefällt mir, ganz ehrlich. So, jetzt hätten wir ja eigentlich
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
einen neuen Hinweis, womit wir ihn anquatschen könnten nochmal.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Mal schauen, ob wir es diese Folge überhaupt noch in unser Zimmer schaffen. Guck, pass auf. Verletzung.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Was? Seine Frau ist seinetwegen gestorben. Das war doch wegen einem Bombenangriff.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Da kann er ja nichts dafür, wenn hier die Deutschen meinen, hier England bombardieren zu müssen.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Okay, hast ja recht. Sonst noch was? Ich glaube, wir müssen noch mit dem anderen Doktor quatschen. Halt. Ja, warte mal. Guck mal, der ist hier noch unbekannt. Wer ist er hier? Sie. Guck mal, ich glaube, wir haben bald alle Personen durch. Ne, da haben wir auch noch einen Unbekannten. Erst die Arbeit, dann das Vergnügen. Komm, quatsch mit mir.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reid? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
Also unser Ruf scheint hier richtig krass gut zu sein.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Okay, sie scheint echt interessiert zu sein, Freunde zu finden vielleicht.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
Vielleicht können wir bei ihr einbrechen und sie ausrauben.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Ja, in der Zeit war es, glaube ich, mit den Frauenrechten auch noch nicht so weit hergeholt.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Oh, der Umgang mit Höhergestellten. Ja, dann.